I go directly to the topic of this research based on digital documentation and analysis of heritage city centers in India. We need a couple of definitions, UNESCO 1990 and ICOMOS 2002. We can recognize two features of historic city centers in these definitions. Cultural heritage gives each particular place recognizable features, and cultural heritage is an expression of the ways of living developed by a community. In historic city centers, the preservation is something very tough sometimes because of different factors. Sometimes wars can destroy cultural heritage, historic city centers, like in Palmyra, in Syria. Other times, natural disaster affected cultural heritage. Kathmandu, the earthquake, the terrible earthquake of 2015. But these are just peculiar situations. Nowadays, we can say that the common problems are related to the contemporary needs in historic city centers. You see the historic town of Zabid in Yemen, coming from a decorated cities to very flat and gray centers, or the historic town of Yazd, where contemporary materials are transforming the city centers from the mud city to the bricks city. This is happening also in India, a country growing very fast, a country where we've been developing this cooperation net since 2012, as Professor Di Giulio said. We have 8 institutions we collaborate with, based in Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Jodhpur, and Kanpur in the northern part of the country. We are in a construction forum, so I thought it could be useful to frame the construction field in Indian historic city centers. It's interesting to see that in historic city centers, just the 5% of the transformation are related to new structures. Obviously, it's understandable. Sorry, okay, going very fast. The 95% of the transformation are related to the old structure. This means that the transformation in the majority of the cases are very fast. There is a quick process, very few morphological changes, so they don't need control by the municipality. These changes are not recorded, so we have a strong hybridization of historic layout because of this few modifications. This is the research methodology. So we basically analyzed some best practices, and then we went through the study of technical development and the carried out of pilot projects in order to evaluate and validate toolkit and methodology. It's interesting to stress that it was a very fruitful cooperation, because at the end of these 6 years of cooperation, we had some integrated surveys carried out, joint research paper, several joint workshops and seminars, and international publication. Technologies are used in this context as a magnet to attract researchers, to attract young students, to attract professionals to the heritage field. In a country such as India, where heritage is not one of the main concerns, obviously. We are here in the city of Jodhpur. This is one of the area study. We are at the border with Pakistan. It's a city of more than 1 million inhabitants. It's called the Blue City because of the color of the city center. The city is completely developed around this rocky structure, the Mehrangarh fort. As I told you, it's called the Blue City, and probably you remember these pictures because Steve McCurry, the famous American photographer, has taken several shoots in the cities. In one other hand, we have the Ahmedabad city, a big city, a population of almost 6 million, so the 5th in India. This is the historic centers, 2 kilometers by 2.5 kilometers, so quite big and dense historic center. Despite this, the walled city housed 44% of the population in 1951. Nowadays is hosting just the 12% of the population of the city. So there is a strong decline of population along these years. And also a strong modification of the built environment of the city center, as you can see. Sometimes very good restoration, in other situations, completely disaster interventions. So we started 6 years ago our on-site investigation in these two areas of the country. First of all, interviewing the residents, but not only, interviewing also local stakeholders, institutions, the authorities. And we came out with some data, obviously, filling out a lot of forms that I don't have time to show to you today. Among this analysis, I like to stress that the main cause of transformation were related, obviously, to contemporary needs, as I told you. So internal height, lighting, new space distribution, hygienic issues, basically the needs of a new toilet in these old houses. So we arrived at this problem tree. Here you can find all the problem that we identified along the first years of the research, and at the top of the image, some mitigation measures that we've been carried out in these two historic city centers. So to start with, we implemented some awareness activity in order to increase the knowledge of the cultural heritage conservation field, and also in order to create a network of young researchers and professionals able to work in this field. This was carried out through the use of technology, in some cases very simple technology like very basic 3D models, in other occasions BIM models or other 3D GIS models. You see here the development of some work by students, undergraduate and also postgraduate students. In order to mitigate the lack of knowledge about the cultural heritage preservation issues, and also in order to allow the municipality to think about some strategies about the preservation of the heritage, we also activated some capacity building initiatives. Here you see also Federica Maietti at CEPT University in Ahmedabad. Some technology training on field, again through spectrophotometers, the analysis of the colors of the city centers. Obviously, as I told you, technology is able to attract young people, so we actually, in cooperation with the staff of CEPT University, we developed also 360 degrees pictures and highlighting some features of important building of the city center. The identification of business opportunities and effective practices in the field of conservation was another mitigation measures that we started in cooperation with Italian companies. We won a small grant, and this allowed us to go there with 3 companies, Italian companies, and we started this program in 2013, trying to transfer some knowledge about the use of technology to the local authorities. We are in Ahmedabad here. You see, obviously we are in a very crowded city center, crowded of people, but also with animals. So not very easy environment to take 3D scan. But anyway, the training was very successful. The people there started to think about the opportunity to develop also private enterprises working on this. And actually, they 2 years ago, they bought a laser scanner by Leica, and they are trying to document part of the city. At the same time, other analysis, we showed them the possibility to analyze also the hardness of wood or stone with georadar, for example. As you can see, the local staff of the municipality of Jodhpur also was involved. We are here in a part of the city, and our partners, you see, they were explaining the procedures, how to use this technology. Last, action that we are still implementing, I have to say, it's the use of new technologies and low-cost technology with flexible protocols for the control over this transformation in historic centers. So again, filling forms related to the transformation, hybridization, we can say, of these buildings, we came up with some data about this transformation, some percentage. Thanks to 3D photogrammetry, it's possible to check the effective potential of these forms you see here. So there is a morphology check with a low quality, obviously, but in some cases it can also be used in cooperation with 3D laser scanning, so a high technology check, in order to really document all the transformation that the citizens are carrying out, the small transformation of the historic city centers. It's important for the local staff to highlight the use of low cost equipment like camera, just to have a 3D point cloud through cheap equipment. In this sense, we are also working and we ask an advice, a consultant to UNESCO also in this situation, with a 3D tour where we can, like if it was a time machine, we can highlight the transformation from 2012 and 2015. Using this virtual tool, you can navigate through the historic centers and check quite easily the transformation of the local cultural heritage. You see the toilet, new volume added, or a simple new painting on the historic wall. I use these 2 minutes just to stress what we have learned from this project and what we are still learning, so that the documentation and the representation techniques can be a good approach for the improvement of the awareness, first of all, that the urban survey can not only increase the knowledge about the cultural heritage, but also it will be a valuable tool for the protection, especially if it's cheap, as in this case, and that on-field activity carried out in the two cities can be very useful to share skills and experiences and to grow up some small enterprises, for example, as we have seen in these 3 years. Thank you. I don't know why the font is so strange, but anyway, you can see. Thank you very much.